looky here. It's the Pat and JT podcast.
Pat and JT podcast.
Known him for a long time. You probably have too. Dave Wingert, legend in radio in Omaha, and a previous episode was part 1. This is part 2. Dave Wingert talks about everything he's gone through, including one of the most important things in his life, and that's AA.
And when you talk about politics and like an issue like the NRA or whatever, it's like, can't we talk about this? And the one thing that I love about, one of the many things I love about AA is when we have meetings, people listen to each other. There's no crosstalk. So the room gets very quiet when someone's telling their story.
They have the floor.
They have the floor.
Respect. Yeah.
Respect. And it's silent, and the people tell their story, whatever it is.
So is that for to get the other people that are in the meeting strength, or let them know that somebody else is going through something, or the purpose of telling? Do you tell your same full story every time, or is it just something happened that day, or just anything? Yeah,
just anything, and it's just, as it relates to your alcoholism, or
so. Just hearing other people in the same situation is.
You may learn
and
something,
positivity
probably,
and get
right?
through it.
I mean,
when you find out you're not alone,
coping mechanisms or something.
You find out you're not alone.
Yeah.
One of the best things I ever heard quotes was Kathy Bates on the Actors Studio, and I memorized it. I had this recorded on VHS, I think, and I rewound. I kept rewinding until she said, "We're all just telling stories, the stories of our lives, what it's like to be you, what it's like to be me. We're sitting around the campfire telling stories." And in that process, and we find that we are more alike than we are different. And in that process, the barriers come down, and we see each other, and that gives us strength and hope to move on.
Oh,
and I think that's what we do in theater. I think that's what we do in radio, and hopefully with our friends.
It is. I mean, it goes back to the most. We kind of mentioned this before in our conversations, but radio, podcasts. The kind of people we are, it goes, and storytelling in general. Yeah, it goes back to the cavemen, because they would all sit around the fire pit, and the fireplace. Sit around the fire pit.
I knew just what you meant.
and then the storytelling would happen. The days, the story of the hunt or the story of whatever, and you see that depicted in cave drawings, for Pete's sake. It's like that's what we do. We share.
And we love stories.
And people would sit around, people listen. And they listen to the stories because they learn from those stories and learn from their elders as well. Yeah. But it's like, wow, that's true. That's just what we're supposed to do. Yeah. You're supposed to be able to do that. You're supposed to be able to sit and communicate and expect that others respect the time that you're talking.
Right.
Well, right. That's right. Don't men do this pass the stick thing?
Yes.
The one who has the stick is the one who's talking.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Same basic thing. Yeah. Exactly. You mentioned Seattle.
Yeah.
You went to Seattle after a very successful run here in Omaha.
Yes.
And just to kind of revisit because there are some of the people that we talk to that reach out to us on social media, a lot of them listen to us on the radio, and then there's some that have found us since, and there's some that are just finding us and found out that, oh my God, you have a podcast.
Isn't
I didn't
that
even know
cool?
you had a podcast. And so it's like a relearning of who we are. And also, we've had to change ourselves, just the way that we communicate, because we were so programmed of the 3 or 4 minute break that you talk, stop commercials, play a couple songs, talk, stop commercials, play a couple songs, and now we get to long form.
Yeah, right.
And so we get to dive a little bit deeper. But you were Wingy in the Morning, and that was in the 70s. How long were you there in the 70s?
Well, I came here and I came to Omaha.
Where'd you come from?
Oh,
Speaking of which, sir, where did you come from?
Most immediately, I was born in New York City and raised in Pittsburgh, but I came here directly from Kansas City. I was working with a marketing firm that opened up Hallmark's, Crown Center.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
Shopping center.
Yeah.
And I missed radio a lot. And I did some theater. I was imported. What brought me there was I was doing an off-Broadway production of Stop the World, I Want to Get Off, which is an Anthony Newley musical. And I saw the poster, by the way. Tickets are $4. It was on the second floor called the Meeting Room of Kansas City. So this is 73, 74. This is ancient history. And I met a man, and I can't remember what I had for dinner last night, so I'm surprised I still remember his name, Steve Shannon, who was general manager of WOW Radio. And he said, you should drive up to Omaha because there's a fellow there, Jimmy O'Neill, who wants to retire, and they're looking for a replacement. And I said, no kidding, where's Omaha? And he said, see this road? Just go north for 3 hours. So it was in a summer of 75. I drove up in my pumpkin-colored Camaro.
Oh, my God.
And Tom Barsanti was the program director. And I interviewed with him. And that night I stayed at the Blackstone Hotel, which is being redone. And that night, and someone said, we have a really cool movie theater. You should go out, the Indian Hills Cinerama.
I miss that place.
I do too. And I saw Jaws.
Oh, wow.
And I remember what seat I sat in. And the next day they hired me.
Wow.
And so between 75 and 89, I left several times and came back.
And their studio was on 90th at that time, wasn't it?
WOW 30th, and it was in the WOWT.
That's right. It's downtown. That's before they moved to
across from Mutual.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I always think, you talk about regrets, and I know I really do believe, I think bottom line, everything plays out the way it's supposed to. But I think if I had stayed here rather than have left for 20 years in Seattle. And I'm glad I did, because I got to do a nationally syndicated show, heard coast to coast on 97 stations. That looks great on your resume anyway, but it was the least satisfying part of my career, and did some great theater and stuff like that. But if I'd stayed here, my face would be on the barroom floor by now at the
press. As it should be.
Well,
just saying, just going to put that out there.
Whatever. And that stuff is not really important, but it's like when I'm shopping at Baker's or Hy-Vee, and they're just saying, Dave Wingert, didn't you used to be somebody? Or,
no, they do not say
You used to be, you were, what's his name, weren't you? I still am. You used to be on the radio. I still am.
I still am.
And enjoy it now more than ever.
It's always nice to get recognition, though, for something that you do, that you love, and that you're good at. You don't need it, right? It doesn't fill a hole, but it's nice. It's nice to be recognized and just kind of just be
reflect and just
reflect. And it makes me very a melancholy. Just the other day, I was in Target. This really nice, salt of the earth, hard-working guy comes up to me and said, and I'm not exaggerating when he said, was like on a Saturday of 1979, you were giving away hot dogs and Mamas and the Papas record albums, and I won one. It's like, what?
And they remember that.
It's important to their lives. And the fact that you were a part of that fabric, that
you're part of it. You made an impression. There was some kind of an impression.
As part of their lives.
Yeah.
And that's why you love radio, right?
Yeah.
That we want to matter.
You want to matter. You want to improve their day. Anybody who takes the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the most priceless commodities. And anybody listening, thank you. I always thought that when anybody radio is you're spending precious time, because you only get this much every day,
right?
And you don't really know how much more there is after that, and you decided that this is what you want to spend some time on. That's huge.
Joe, you bring there's a really good story, and I haven't told it in a long time, but it's the guy who founded Aveda. Again, the story is kind of a cliche, but it's a true story. I was out at Alan Cohen's, one of his retreats in Maui, and this great guy, and there's a book. I have the book somewhere, so there's a name of the book, and of course I don't remember his name or the name of the book. But the point was, he was a hairstylist, a dresser, and this woman used to come to him on a certain schedule, like once a month or something, and she came outside of her schedule, and he did her hair and gave her a little massage, as I think the Aveda people do now. And talked to her and whatnot. And she said, I just want to look pretty. And he got a note like 2 or 3 days later from that woman saying, thank you. What I wanted to look pretty for was I was going to kill myself. And
wow.
the time I spent with you made me rethink that, and now I'm in remission, or I'm getting better. I'm seeing to it. I'm going through some therapy.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. We forget how the influence that we have on each other.
It is the little things like there was somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they make the point of when they meet somebody, they try to always either smile at them, compliment them, and it's not a matter of looks. It might be, those are great shoes.
Yeah.
It might be, oh my God, I love that brand of whatever that you're buying at the grocery store, or just something that's positive reinforcement, because they know being on the other end of that, when you're having a bad day, that can flip the switch. And then that's an extreme example, obviously, of what you're talking about, because she was that far. But
Don't you think everybody wants that? They won't admit it.
no.
When we get up in the morning and look at ourselves in the mirror, don't we all want the same things? We want to be appreciated. We want to provide for our kids. We want to...
It's very basic stuff, extremely basic stuff. Yes.
I was at a store. I'm going to say it wasn't a grocery store, but I was at a store, and it was kind of more farm related.
It's either that or a bar, because you everything else.
Store and a bar. I was at a bar. That's how a lot of my stories start. Anyway, but where it was is we were standing in line, and there was a mother and her adult daughter. And she was challenged, the adult daughter. And then there's a woman in front of me, and she was holding a 50-pound bag of dog food, puppy food. And then there was me standing there because I had a question, and I'm just waiting my turn. And I was looking at something else, doing something. Then I realized the young woman, the daughter, she took a big interest in how the cash register worked, and she wanted to buy a pop for herself, and she'd want her mom to pay for it. I have enough money in my own, my own money, and the woman standing there holding the 50-pound bag of puppy food right in front of me, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this poor woman. There's nowhere to set it down, and I was about ready to ask her, can I hold that for you for a second? Give your arms a break, and instead though. The girl was asking, how much is a diet pop? How much is a diet pop? I want to buy one. And nobody was responding to her because they were finishing their transaction at that time. And the woman tapped her on the shoulder, and she says, "Hun, it's right here. Do you see this?" And she says, $1.79. She says, "Yes, it's $1.79. Any of these in here, $1." And she's holding this 50-pound bag of puppy food, helping, as opposed to what I was expecting was somebody would be a little perturbed.
Yeah.
That's impatient.
Impatient.
Would like somebody help her?
Get on with it.
Get on with it. Everybody get out the door. And there was one cashier, and there was nobody else around. And I was just like, bless your heart. Yeah. and I, it was just like, I gave her a big smile when she set down the bag. She says, and he said, well, that was a minute you were holding that, wasn't it? She says, yeah, she says, that's okay.
Well, who you just described, that woman, how wonderful. Great story. We in AA talk about how we are all impatient and how angry we get in traffic and how we flip people off, and give us the grace to, the serenity prayer is,
yes,
grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And we talk about normal people, in quotes.
In quotes.
AA members will say that they feel broken. And the best quote I heard about that was, yes, it's good to be broken because it lets in the light.
Wow.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
I just heard that recently. But how we admire normal people who stand back and take a breath and don't immediately knee-jerk into some kind of...
let's just say, I noticed what she didn't do. That was the thing. It
well
was like,
put, really, yeah.
I noticed what she did. Otherwise, I think I would have walked out. If she had done what I would have expected that a lot of people would do, I don't think the impression wouldn't have been as great.
You probably wouldn't even remember it now.
Really,
Yeah.
the transaction, the whole thing. And walking out then, I was like lighter. Walking out the door.
I was going to ask you how you felt after that.
And felt better. I was just like, that was neat to witness.
Like going to church, isn't it?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. But so I don't know that she knows. I'm sure she knows, because she obviously made a conscious effort to
Conscious effort, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
How are you guys doing, by the way? Enough about me. What did you think of my latest picture? How are you doing?
Speaking of which, you said you were in a play, and I just want to make sure that we get that out there.
Oh, thank you.
A little bit about this, because it sounds like something almost experimental theater type, or is it more What would you call it? Impromptu?
It's a regular, if you want to go to see it, it looks like a regular theater piece. It's called A Very Die Hard Christmas, and it was written by an experimental improv group in Seattle. I mean, there is a script.
Okay.
But there's no template as far as the staging of it. So that put an enormous creative weight on the shoulders of our director, the artistic director of the Blue Barn is Susan Clement Tober, and I've done 5 shows with her. She's the best director I've ever worked with. She's a dear friend. She comes from SUNY, upstate New York. They're graduates of SUNY, so they're all from New York area. And one of the founders of the Blue Barn, Houston Walkinshaw, is playing Hans Gruber. And it's if you watch the movie is a really good movie. We rewatched it as part of our.
It really is.
Houston Walker, I think he's been around a while, right? Was he in the Omaha the movie a long time ago?
Yes.
Him and I were up.
Go ahead, say it.
When I was up I auditioned for this, and he got a part that I almost got.
What was that?
It was I don't even remember the name of the character.
It's a movie.
Now. It was it's called Omaha the movie, and Dana Altman, not Dana Altman.
No.
Robert Altman.
Yes.
Son. Is it Dana?
Yes.
Okay, so but not basketball.
Not
Dana
basketball.
Altman.
Dana.
Right.
Yeah.
Dana Altman.
Yeah,
right.
Dana Altman, the director.
Movie, right.
He directed it, and he was in that, and that I haven't heard that in his name in a long time.
Well, it's
Nice
unusual. Oh, and a wonderful actor, and it's so much fun because what's the name of the actor who played Hans Gruber?
Oh, Rutger Hauer. No. That's who he reminds me of. That's not it. Was he?
He was also in Harry Potter. You can Google it, right?
You got it?
You Google, I'll blow my
He's
nose.
Googled. Okay, you got it, Pat?
I think so.
Where?
We can always, don't worry, we always have edits.
Yeah, good. So.
I spelled
Hans, Hans Gruber.
Gruber.
Hans Gruber, there he is.
It is it's a fictional character portrayed by Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. There we go. Yeah, bing, bing, bing.
It's not who I was thinking of at all. I had the wrong face in my head.
Got it.
Well, and there's so many moments in the movie, like, Bruce Willis is saying, "Come out to the coast, we'll have a good time," as he's crawling through this air shaft, right? And that's in the show, or he kills one of the terrorists, and he puts on his T-shirt, "I've got the gun, a machine gun, ho ho ho," right? And Alan Rickman, although in the play, Hans Gruber's character Houston Walkinshaw says, and what we instead of machine guns, we use Nerf guns because we can't shoot, right? So you have to suspend your disbelief.
You can
and
do
says,
that.
"I have a Nerf gun, ho ho." Ho. Or he'll be walking around and the John character says, "Think, John, think," and so we pop out from the back of the "Think, John, think." It's very self-aware.
Would this be good for the whole family? This be good for the whole family?
Well, yeah, but you can't get tickets. We're completely sold out.
Well, see how
the
you
whole
are.
run.
See
I'm
how
sorry.
you are. You sold out everything before it even opened.
Yeah.
That seriously is what happened, isn't it?
It's funny because one of the popular, the thing is yippee-ki-yay,
Yes.
which is used in there. But there's a wonderful scene where the FBI, what is it, the local police and the guy, it's power plays, right? The local little police guy gets overpowered by the like the city policeman or and then the FBI comes on and they take over.
Everybody keeps taking over.
Yeah, everybody.
Power play.
It's
Got
a
it.
Power play. And he says, what are you doing? He says, "Well, I'm not the one that just got, what is it said? Is it ass fucked on national television or something like that?" Yeah. So in the play we said, "Well, I'm not the one who just got inappropriate gay slur on national television." Yeah. So
you completely sold out. I mean, any chance of
they keep adding? We added performances.
You already did.
We added performances and we added rows of seats, people in the front row. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 seats left.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Well, that's nice to know that because the Blue Barn is an intimate theater. It holds 95. And it's nice to know that we're going to play this comedy to a packed house. every time, right?
But you had a small enough audience to where you feel like you can connect with each person, I would assume.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all. That's very cool.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Wingy, you're the man.
I know. I'm so glad you came. I want to keep talking. I want you to come back.
I'd love to.
Because there's a lot more we can talk about. I just like talking to you.
Oh, honey, that's one of the nicest compliments.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely love
And that was one of my favorite times of the day when we were, those 18 months, 2 years, whatever, we worked together, same time-ish. You were in the morning.
I know.
We were in the morning. And when you'd come in and we'd talk and we would chat, and it was a great...
Being in the same
great
building
time.
with you is great.
Yeah.
It really
Well,
was.
I agree too, and it's funny because we take that for granted, right? And we
Yeah.
figured, well, there will always be a time that we'll have time to talk.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
speaking of that, I saw this. Is it a meme when it's a picture with letters on it?
Sure.
That's not a GIF, whatever.
That's a meme.
Anyway, there's a meme. I saw a
I'm
meme.
glad somebody else doesn't know what a meme
The
is.
GIF things, they move.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's
Those
true.
things.
Meme
Okay,
is,
that's
but a
what I'm
meme can be in a GIF.
And it can
or
be
a GIF.
and a meme can be a video.
Okay, yes.
Anyway,
a meme
so-
can be anywhere.
So
yeah.
you saw this
I
thing.
saw a picture, and rarely do I hear things that like are powerful. Like, oh my gosh, that was unbelievable. I've never heard it.
Never
put
heard
this
that
way.
before.
Yeah.
It was a picture of a 7 or 8, 9-year-old girl sitting at a table on her phone, looking down at her phone, and her grandfather was sitting across from her. And all it said on the picture was that she's running out of time and she doesn't even know it. And it was, I thought about
Wow.
that every day for
Yeah.
the last, so that's a good point. You don't even realize
In the
how
moment.
long you have to hang out with someone, to have them in your life, to tell them how much you love them or whatever. And so, yeah, that meme stuck with me.
In 79, I was shot at. I was performing at the Club 89. I'm sure you know this story.
No.
And this I will have next time.
Okay.
This guy came back from Vietnam, Ulysses Cribbs, and emptied a 12-gauge shotgun in 15 and a half seconds, sprayed the room, killed a policeman, Dennis LePerry, and injured 25 of us. I was one of them. I got buckshot.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and it made international news. I have an envelope, a manila envelope, full of newspaper clippings from like
Oh my gosh.
Germany and Paris. Because this is 79, mind
Yeah.
you, in Omaha, freaking Nebraska,
Yeah.
where shootings are not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this was a shotgun, mind you, not a machine gun.
Right.
And
Holy smoke.
it made me realize, well, tomorrow you could be hit by a bus. You know, we don't know how much time we have. So
Mm-hmm.
we've got to make the most of the moment. I'm just so honored that you guys would think of calling me. And let's vow to keep, stay in touch with each
For
other.
sure.
Let's make this more regular.
I'd love that.
That would be awesome.
Thank you.
So in the meantime, where can people listen to you?
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. MyBoomerRadio.com is probably the best place to go.
Okay.
It's one of the few stations in the country that's playing music of the 60s and 70s for baby boomers.
Awesome.
So that's where
And you're on in the mornings.
5 to 10
There you go.
Central time.
Central. There you go. That's right. Because we are worldwide. I just want you to know.
That's right.
Wow.
Our podcast, by the way, we are in
big deal,
seven countries
Jeez.
and 49 states.
Yep.
West Virginia doesn't like us yet. So
What do they know?
Right. Jerks.
Honest to God. Your next listener will come from West Virginia.
I hope so.
And I hope you have a wonderful honeymoon. And
Thank you. I'm very excited. Yeah. Very,
Yes,
very
absolutely.
excited.
thanks for letting me in
Time
your
to
lives.
manscape tonight.
You're
I'm
welcome.
telling you
Happy
that.
holidays. Merry Christmas.
All that stuff.
And break a leg.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Love you, Dave Wingert.
Yes.
Love you guys.